Hello and welcome back to another episode of Comics, etc. with me, Mr. Hueth, and, of course, Guy.
This episode, which is going to be our very first review episode, Mr. Hueth and I are going to go through some of the comics we read this week, but the rest of our reviews we're going to put up on our blog, sendmorerobots.blogspot.com, and we'll put a link to that below in the description.
And without further ado, let's get to it.
So, I'm going to start off with Red Lanterns. Now, if you haven't been reading Red Lanterns, oh my, have you been missing out. I picked up the line once Charles Soule jumped on, and he is a phenomenal writer. You should really pick up the series if you can. It's actually become one of my favorite Lantern books out right now. Overall, I gave this one a 9 out of 10 because it's just a great issue all around. The art is fantastic, even though it's not the normal artist on here. Plot was great. Finally seeing Atrocitus come back, seeing him really coming into his own. Ever since Guy took the Red Lanterns away from Atrocitus has kind of been, in the background, healing, getting himself together, and so finally seeing him declare war on Guy and his Lanterns, phenomenal. I've been waiting for it. And the characterization has been great. I really enjoyed the dialogue between Guy and Kara, who is a Red Lantern for right now, and the emotional aspect between Bleez and Rancor, especially with Bleez being just a demonic murder machine. It was really nice to see a softer side of her. So as I said, Red Lanterns, check it out if you're a fan, 9 out of 10.
So, first on my list is X-Force! So, if you don't know about it by now, there's the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men, the Astounding X-Men, the All-New X-Men, the X-Men First Class, the X-Men Last Class, the X-Men I Was Late to Class, and with the X-Force, this is kind of another old idea from the X-Universe. The X-Force was initially just a group of people who were supposed to kill in order to save mutant kind. However, the new X-Force is not really like that. They're still killing people, still for mutants, actually kind of for hope. In this new iteration, they're led by Cable. He is leading a new X-Force team after his Cable in the X-Force series is over. He's joined by Psylocke, Dr. Nemesis, Phantom X, and Marrow, and they pretty much go about and kind of do shady mutant stuff. The arc right now that they just got through, kind of introducing a new character. Overall, the artwork is kind of stylized, but in a kind of gritty way that really gets the story across in a very effective way. You see the grittiness of these people and the actions they're taking, and the art just kind of helps it sink in that some of these things that they're doing may not be the most moral of things. And the writing at some points is kind of weird. There are some funny moments in this, though. So, my overall rating was a 7 out of 10.
Alright, the next title I'm going to do is Superman. Now, Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr. just got onto this title, so if you are looking to read a Superman comic, I would actually highly recommend picking this one up. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It really felt like a return to form. I know a lot of other reviewers have been saying that they haven't been enjoying Superman so much with Lobdell on the title. He's got the costume, he's got the powers, but he doesn't have some of the same morals, some of the same objectives. It starts off, and you've got all of the classic Superman material there. You've got familiar faces, you've got a familiar Clark, and I think that's what's most important. Is Jeff Johns, who is an amazing writer, he knows Clark. And it really feels like the old Superman, the pre-New 52 Superman. Very human, very compassionate. The actual storyline, I was a little less enamored with. I won't reveal too much, but the new character that's introduced is an interesting analog to Superman and his circumstances. So I'm really interested in seeing where that's going to go and how the comparison is going to either help Superman grow or help this other character grow, or if it's going to bring them into a natural competition or something. To be honest, I think this new character that's being introduced is one of the major players in the New 52 Future's End. I won't say which one because I don't want to spoil it, but I think if you read it, you might be able to figure out which one he is. The only real negative I had to it, I hate to say it, but it's John Romita Jr.'s art. Sometimes it's killer, and sometimes it looks like he's drawing Lego people. Superman number 32, 8 out of 10.
Next on the agenda is one of my personal favorite Marvel characters, the super edgy and too cool for school, Punisher. I'm currently going through the current Marvel Now Punisher series that just started up a couple months ago. I am really enjoying it. LA is a nice fresh place for him, and it's really interesting to see him back in the Marvel Universe, because for so long he's been separated from the universe itself. He's kind of been doing his own one-offs, so now he finally has his own. It's starting to feel like the Punisher again. So, let me go over some basics. The art is kind of weird. It's kind of basic. If you really like detail in your stuff, this may not be the way to go. There's not a lot of definition on characters that aren't super close up. But I personally love it. I think it's really spot on. Since LA is considered kind of a brighter city, it seems appropriate to have a little bit brighter everything. Frank even seems brighter. He was just like super dark and gritty, and he smiles sometimes. And the story so far, fantastic. Wondering what's going to happen next, and then what happens next, you're like, what? Whoa! What's going to happen next? Overall, I gave this series a 7.3 out of 10, because I can do 0.3. So yeah, Puncher, pick it up.
Cal is a new Image comic from Kyle Higgins, and it's about 1960s era superheroes in Chicago, and the union they belong to. If you're not a fan of kind of gritty 60s pieces, you're not going to be a fan of this. It's a really fun read, and I really enjoy the characters. They feel very salt of the earth type people. These people, you can even imagine meeting nowadays. But the main conflict involving Skylancer, the villain from the previous issue, it does feel a little cliche. It's definitely something we've heard before, but I'm more than willing to give the creative team the benefit of the doubt to see where they're going to go with this. Again, this is Cal, and I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, because it was a great read, but it might not appeal to everyone.
I only have one DC review for right now, because unfortunately, I haven't been picking up a lot of stuff recently. That will change, though. I'm going to be reviewing Batman Beyond Universe. Now, let me put this right out there. I love me some Batman Beyond. I love Batman Beyond. Love it. I love Batman Beyond. It's one of my favorite series of all time. It's in, of course, the Timverse, and I love the Bruce Timmverse and all the DC AU, Expanded Universe, all that stuff. It's wonderful. In this new Batman Beyond universe, this entire series, the writing is so spot on. So Batman Beyond, the series itself is really, really good so far. Very mature, not too, dark and gritty. Terry is no longer in high school. He's gone off to college because Bruce can pay for that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure Terry didn't get his GED. I mean, can't really do that stuff when you're being a superhero. You see the old characters again. You see Dana, you see Max, you see Ten. Ten comes back. She's always wonderful. But in this series, they also have Justice League Unlimited universe. And honestly, that is also a major selling point of this series. It's two different stories, Batman and Justice League. And the Justice League is awesome because it's in a universe where the Justice League does not have that many people in it. Honestly, it feels kind of good to know that superheroes are so scarce in this world that the Justice League is only a couple members, and they're really all that stands in the way of people like Brainiac. However, let me get more into the actual ratings of this series. The art style, 6 out of 10. Now, let me put it this way. I love this art style. If it was me, I'd give it 10 out of 10. However, if I'm recommending it to someone, I'm going to have to say you got to look at in the first couple of arcs to really get a good feel of how it's going to be. It's kind of stylized to be kind of a Tim spin. But I gave it 6 out of 10 because you got to go in knowing it's going to be a little stylized. The writing, 8.5 out of 10 because I love the writing. It's Batman Beyond! It feels like Batman Beyond. It feels like it hasn't changed. And it feels real. It feels like I'm still watching the show. Just instead of having to wait for commercials, I have to flip through the commercials. Fun fact. I went to Comic-Con the other year. And when Bruce Timm, I went to his panel, loved it. He was asked if he had any series that he could do one last season. One more season to finish it up. Which would it be? And he said Batman Beyond. And my heart warmed. I love Batman Beyond. Story, I don't think you're going to see me say it's going to be anything less than a 9 out of 10! Again, did you know that I love Batman Beyond? Like I said, these stories follow the universe, and it feels good. It feels like the Batman Beyond universe is only just expanding. But Dick Grayson has an eye patch. You should read this. Batman Beyond. And, finally, together, we are going to talk about a series that we have feelings about. Would you like to introduce it?
I absolutely would love to introduce it. It's the New 52, Futures End. And it is a series.
It is.
That DC is making.
Uh-huh.
That takes place in the future.
What?
possibly the end of the future. It's just so frustrating.
It kind of seems way too convoluted. Well, actually, let's go over things we do like about it first, because it'll be easy. I liked Firestorm. I know it sounds weird.
No.
I like Firestorm. Like, apparently, the series just kind of got canceled, and, like, I guess no one was reading him, but in this series, he's actually, like, an interesting character.
For Firestorm to exist, two people have to merge together. And the idea of one of them being solely the brain power and the other one being the actual physical avatar of Firestorm, super cool. Seeing them in this, they feel like, really relatable characters, and the kind of trauma they have to go through makes sense. That is, you're right, a stellar, absolutely phenomenal part of this series. I don't know what's keeping me reading this series. I mean, obviously it's Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond is in this. Terry's in this. I love Terry.
Did I mention that I like Batman Beyond?
And so it was the major draw for me. This is the official introduction of Batman Beyond into the New 52, into the canon DC universe.
That's what got me reading.
And that's great. Woohoo! I've been waiting for this forever. It's amazing. That being said, we'll start with Firestorm since we did that one first. What is the point of them being in there? I understand that Firestorm did something that let down another hero and cost them dearly. But aside from that, I just didn't understand why they were integral to the plot, why they were included. Which is how I feel about a lot of the characters. The story is almost made entirely of characters who have had their series canceled. Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld. Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. Teen Titans, Firestorm, Grifter.
That's the other thing I want to address. I want to get this right out of the way right now. The story. What is going on? There's like 5 different things going on, and none of them tie together yet.
At all.
They are going to, and hopefully soon.
One page, we're with Frankenstein and Amethyst, and we're in space. And then another page, we're with Lois Lane, and she's doing the Lois Lane thing. And then we're with Grifter, and he's on an island.
I love that. It was all like, I'm Frankenstein, I'm in space. Lois Lane, get me a plane. Hey, I'm on an island.
That too, that actually highlights one of the big issues with it, is it just feels like the most cliched comic book nonsense.
I'm Mr. Terrific.
No, don't even get me started on how awful Mr. Terrific is.
It seems to do a single heroic thing, aside from speak at a hero who we will not name.
Right.
You googly.
So the rest of the comic just...
I know, well, it kind of seems...
back.
It's like you watch a whole bunch of action movies that, like, take place in the same universe, but they don't really branch together. They're supposed to, at some point. They don't. Oh, there's one thing we haven't mentioned. Something does happen. There's an arc with the Stormwatch that happens for about 2 seconds.
Oh, that's right. In the first issue.
Yeah.
Right? Where they're dead. It's not even important. It's not even a spoiler.
Yeah.
It happens in the first,
I think it's
the zero issue.
I think it's like the second thing they bring up. They're like, oh, Batman, Stormwatch is dead. Stormwatch is dead. Alright, what is your official review at the time being of this series?
I'm going to keep reading this. But I'd say, you know what, I'm going to give it like a 5. I'm going to find out what happens, and I guess I'm going to enjoy it or something.
My official review, I gave this a question mark out of... What? Because I'm with you on this. I'm going to keep reading it because, if I haven't mentioned before, I love Batman Beyond, and I love Terry McGinnis. No, but for Serial, this entire arc seems like it's gonna go somewhere.
Right.
It just needs to quick, or else I'm going to die from anger.
It needs to get there. This is not one of those, it's more about the journey than the end. No, it's about the end.
End is in the title. You gotta get us to the end.
Bring me to the end.
We're gonna go more into this on the blog, because
Yes.
we're eating up way too much time. Alright, thank you again for tuning in. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, remember who you are and what you are.
Don't go causing any trouble out there in that world.
And remember, it's Frank. It's a Frank that shoots Franks.
And this guy, who is this guy? He looks like the animated show Parasite, the Batman villain Parasite.
Dude. I'll tell you who I think it is.
I think it is. Just tell me. Yeah, listen. Just me and you now.